In 2018, Manchester City got a whopping 100 points in the Premier League, the first time triple digits had been reached. That's great, lovely, well done you. But I think football would be far more fun if league titles were won based on pretty much every other factor imaginable, like the most entertaining team, the cleanest team, and which team's mums make the tastiest sausage rolls. So let's do that, shall we? Today, my friends, the premise is simple. We have essentially removed points from the English league system, and instead, league positions will be decided on 6 other factors of my choosing. The best part is that I have saves simmed 10 years into the future for each of these different factors, all the way down to the 6th tier of English football, so the chaos can really permeate through. And we'll obviously be having a deep dive into those later in the video. And as with all videos that I do that require the use of the advanced database editor, I provided a link to an unlisted video in the description, which is a tutorial on how we achieve the results that we have. But if you're not bothered about that at all you need to know is that teams are now awarded the same number of points for wins, losses, and draws, thus making points essentially completely obsolete. And instead, the league positions are decided by the sorting factors, and boy, are there some interesting ones you can get into with that. Also, apologies for the slightly reduced output in videos on the channel over the course of August. I injured my shoulder at the start of the month, and it's made sitting in this chair sometimes absolute agony. Luckily, I have a physio appointment right after I record this video, so you never know, maybe I'll be back and firing, we'll see. So what are the 6 new rules that we have used to decide league position? To start, we have the obvious one, goal difference. Teams that win big and lose small will be benefiting from this, whereas teams that grind out results will simply not be good enough. I don't expect this to change too much, but then this is FM, so you just never know. Next, we have goals scored. It only matters how many goals you score. It doesn't matter how many you concede. You could concede 100, but as long as you score 80, you could still win the Premier League. Then we have the complete opposite of that, goals against. Only the miserliest teams will be rewarded with success for just simply not conceding goals. Those 3 are a little bit basic, but I thought we'd just get started with those because I feel like the chaos is really to come with the next 3. Next, we have away goals score, which I love the fact that we can use that as a sorting factor. UEFA, please bring that back for us. Only goals scored away from home will count towards teams' league positions, and given the way that teams set up in FM a little bit, I think that one could throw up some very interesting results. It's the next 2 when things go off the rails completely. Discipline record. The cleanest teams will finish at the very top. Now, the one that we've chosen is the one that awards 3 points for a red card and 1 point for a yellow card in the disciplinary standings, and then obviously the most points you have, you get relegated most likely. So teams will be rewarded for not being dirty buggers. And I think this one really is going to turn out some very interesting results over a 10 to 12 year period. And lastly, one that I genuinely don't really know how it's going to go at all and why this is even an option for league sorting, European coefficient. So when teams play in Europe, winning and drawing matches, as well as qualifying for certain rounds of tournaments, allows them to earn personal coefficient, which decides what pots they go into when they're in Europe. But the thing is, now the leagues domestically are going to be decided based on how the teams do in European competitions. That could throw all sorts of spanners into the works. Now, I feel like this won't really affect anyone outside of the Premier League, but you just never know, and I'm not really sure how FM's going to handle this one, so that's going to be fascinating towards the end of this video when we get to those. You get the idea. That's enough babble. We're going to jump straight into the first one, 10 years in, with goal difference, and see if there actually are any changes. So, boom. This is the Premier League after 10 years of only using goal difference sorting. So you can see, obviously, everyone's on 76 points, but that's irrelevant, because goal difference is all that matters here. Now, firstly, Fulham are in Europe, but I don't know how surprising that actually is at this point in the save. QPR up to 9th in it as well. Bristol City, Stoke, West Ham. The usual suspects, though, have still congregated towards the top as far as I can tell. And you can see down at the bottom here that, in theory, West Ham should have finished above Forest here, but because of their worst goal difference, they have now been relegated. I actually see that Manchester United finished 12th last season because of their -8 goal difference. Also, Middlesbrough with a -46. That's an oof. Brentford also come 8th with a +1 goal difference in there as well, but it really is just the same sort of teams, though Villa actually qualifying for the Champions League in 6th, which is mad. Must have won the Europa League or something. QPR actually, once again, here, also qualified for Europe in 8th spot, and seemingly have actually been quite good throughout this save very fast. Like, when did they even come up? As with all of these videos as well, I'll be providing the save files for the end of this so that you can have a look through yourself, as well as the database files in a big pack so you can download them all from the very start and do your own experiments with it as well. But I'm just having a little hunt through all of them to see if there's been some massive injustices along the way somewhere. Another example here actually is Blackburn, who managed to win, getting on for half of the games that they played in the season. In fact, won as many games as Norwich City, who won the league. Now, obviously, they did lose an awful lot more, but they still would have finished a lot higher up if it wasn't for the fact that they lost so many games. So it does feel like with this type of system, drawing matches would be very, very important because it would stop you from losing goal difference at least. In fact, Blackburn apparently just have a bit of a history of doing this, who won 24 matches in this season here and still managed to finish outside of the playoffs. Even worse news for Leyton Orient, who in 2025 won 14 matches in League 2, but just conceded way too many goals. Goal difference of only -21, but that would have still been 53 points to get relegated as bottom of the league. What I'm saying is it's grossly unfair and therefore brilliant. Big rip as well of Darlington in 2029, who got 23 wins, literally half their games, would have had something like 77 points. They ended up coming 9th. Shout out to Peterborough Sport as well, who only won 14 games this season, but they drew 24 games. It feels like really it's a case of if you draw a lot, you're going to be fine. Only winning 14 games, but still coming 4th in the league is actually mad when you consider that's the same number of games that Leamington won and they were relegated. One last example here, Maidstone, who won 31 matches this season with 8 draws as well. So that would have put them on, 101 points and would not have been promoted purely on the goal difference situation because Barnet got one better. Premier League winners provided very little surprises, although Newcastle did manage to get one. But that's enough about goal difference. Let's now move on to pure entertainment and goals scored. Well, and you can immediately see it's slightly different. Burnley are 6th, for example, and look at some of the Premier League. Okay, there's an Everton in there. So there you go, Everton fans. Happiness. Now, we'll have to look at the detailed league tables to see who's actually been scoring a lot of goals, but you can see that Manchester United, they won 11 matches. They look like a solid team down here. Burnley only won 15 games this season because they did, in fact, manage to score 56 goals this season. They conceded 55. It's the perfect crime. Then you've got teams like Stoke up here, which is really fascinating to me, who only finished with technically what would have been 34 points in the league, but because they scored 43 times, that was enough to keep them up. But I'm certain we're going to find some much more egregious examples of this as we start moving through this. What's genuinely interesting to me here is that Everton managed to win the title here, but they still only scored 69 goals. Nice. Which isn't that many in the grand scheme of things. Another brilliant example here is Fulham scoring 4 wins. I'd take that this season. Honestly, if you gave that to me, I would take that as a Fulham fan. Not the number of wins, the staying up part. They won 4 matches all season for a grand total of what would have been 24 points, but were still able to stay up because they scored 32 goals. And Wolves here creeping into the Champions League despite only winning 14 matches that season because they scored 61 goals. Now, obviously, if teams are tied on that, it will go to goal difference as the second split on those ones. Feel a bit sorry for Peterborough here, who have been relegated with 17 wins on the season. I must say, the scoring in some of these leagues has been particularly low, considering that these are all set to playable. This is not the view-only issue or anything like that. They've just been really miserly. It's like, do you not understand what you're supposed to do? Okay, so goals scored makes it slightly more random. We have seen a few more teams flapping around the leagues a little bit, and Everton grabbing themselves a cheeky little league title in there as well. But I think it's just going to get more and more bizarre. So let's move to goals against, which should still be quite sane. Maybe. Yeah, things are looking fairly sane on that one, I would say. Although Blackburn in here, with a negative 20 goal difference, I want to know what's happened there. The fact that Spurs and Blackburn, Spurs won 23 games, a 10th, and Blackburn have won 9 and they're 11th. Wow. They actually conceded the same number of goals, but Blackburn scored a lot less, like half the amount, but that's fine because it's not about that. It's about being good at defence. Case in point, Watford here, who scored 42 goals, just conceded way more than they should have done, but scored more than basically everyone else in the bottom half. Look at this. It's always full. It's always Fulham. 13 wins, 5 draws. That's like 44 points. You're bottom of the league. They scored 58 goals. Fulham scored more goals than Ipswich, Rotherham and Preston combined, and they still got relegated. That's the kind of chaos I'm after. A shout out to Sheffield United here, who despite only winning 3 matches this season, did in fact manage to stay up very comfortably. Fulham really are one extreme to the other here. They managed to come 7th a few seasons prior to that, whilst only scoring 29 times. Massive shout out to Ipswich Town, promoted from the Championship with 10 wins. They only got 49 points technically that season, but they were promoted because they only conceded 36. They only scored 33. Boring times at Portman Road. I really want to see if I can find, I think Ipswich must be easily the least amount of goals scored to get promoted out of this particular simulation. But I want to see if anyone scored over 60 and gone down. There we have it. Rochdale in League 1. 65 goals scored, plus 4 goal difference, but relegated anyway. They got 59 points technically. It's worth noting that there are going to be a few slightly weird relegations, because if a team is handed any kind of points deduction, you are guaranteed to be relegated, and there's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. Shout out to Oldham getting relegated from the Football League despite winning 18 matches and scoring 54 goals. Big shout out to Chester here, who, despite only winning 16 matches, which is literally half nearly the amount that Chorley won, and nearly scoring half the amount of goals, they had the defence and therefore they were handed the title. Would they have even been anywhere near promotion? They would have been even been close. Right, that's the most basic ones out of the way, I suppose. Premier League winners didn't really change all that much, although it did seem to really benefit Arsenal with 3 titles in there as well, and obviously one for Newcastle. But now we move to away goals scored. I mean, Chelsea clearly love the away goals, but also Everton with another league title in there. Not the best goal difference, I'd admit, but still in there. Arsenal, despite plus 27, presumably just didn't score away from home at all this season. Okay, this is going to be more interesting. Arsenal had a banging season that year, 70 points, but was it all at home? What's their away record look like? Yeah, they only scored 25 goals away from home this season in spite of all that. It must have been all at home. The home record was definitely quite decent, though. 14 wins in their home matches, 37 goals scored. Absolutely clapped it at home, just not away from home. Same sort of weirdness can be said for Stoke City here, with their negative goal difference coming 5th in the league, only winning 13 matches. Because to their credit, they did manage 32 goals away from home. They only won 6 matches away from home, mind, but they did score 32 goals in those games. Lordy lord. Wolves down here in 16th with a positive goal difference and 14 wins. That's mad. I'm waiting for someone to win the league with like a negative goal difference or someone to get relegated with a positive one. That must be in here somewhere. Coventry managed to get promoted with a 0 goal difference. That's not even through the playoffs either. And also, what on earth are West Brom doing here? 18th in the league with 23 wins and a plus 21 goal difference. They just, one, they didn't seem to score that many goals in the grand scheme of things, but they must have done it all at home. Yeah, they only managed 20 goals on the road all season. There we go. There we go. We finally get one. Southend United relegated from League One with a plus 5 goal. They weren't even close to getting, like they were 2 places into the relegation zone with a positive goal difference, won 16 matches. That's like 62 points or something ridiculous, and they're relegated because they only managed 16 goals away from home all season. Only won 4 matches. The home record was stellar. 12 wins out of 23 is bloody excellent. It just couldn't do it away from home. Now all we need to complete the set is a team to get promoted with a negative goal difference. And also Plymouth with a plus 8 and 20 wins relegated from League One. They had 73 points. Their away record was appalling. 16 goals all season, which means they must have won 15 home games. There we have it. We found one. Forest Green, negative 10 goal difference, promoted. Yes! All those vegan sausage rolls coming back to, well, help them, I guess. Only scored 22 at home and only won 5 home matches, but away from home, they were actually quite decent, but still not that good. Cambridge United and Woking both promoted with negative goal differences in this season. Northampton won the league with a negative goal difference. That's the first time we've had a league winner, I think, with a negative goal difference, but there they are. 67 goals scored, but they actually conceded 68. Ebbsfleet United relegated with a plus 11 this season as well. And oh my god, that's so many points. That's 65 points and they're relegated, I think. This is where things are going to take a complete turn now, because when it comes to discipline, that doesn't entirely track purely with how well a team plays. A team can play very good football but still commit a lot of fouls because they're very aggressive in the press. I think this is where we start to see some giants falling, potentially, and some very strange Premier League winners and just weird moves all over the leagues, quite frankly. Do we have any weirdness going? Yes, we do. Oh. Yes, we bloody do. We do indeed. The top 4 in the Premier League is Norwich, Oldham, Scunthorpe and Walsall. I think we can leave it there. No, we won't leave it there. West Brom, by the way, can we talk about West Brom coming 18th here, but also somehow qualifying for the Champions League? There is some madness here. Morecambe, Tranmere in the Premier League, Norwich win a title. Walsall have won 2 league titles. Cleanest team in England. Worth noting as well, not seeing Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. I mean, West Brom here actually put 24 wins down. Like, they're not even a bad team at all. Stoke won 21 matches and were relegated for being dutty. So, yes, all 3 teams that were relegated as well have positive goal differences. I'm actually surprised. I thought that a lot of the smaller sides, because they don't have a lot of the ball, would be committing a lot of fouls and therefore getting a lot of bookings. But evidently not, as Norwich City, actually, they've had quite a solid year, but still, I'm curious now to see, like, who's won the most games and got promoted, relegated, and vice versa, really. Scunthorpe comes second this season as well, with only 6 wins on the year, but second in the league. Leeds win a Premier League. Brighton won 22 matches that season. That's, what, 70 points? No, probably more than that. But relegated for being naughty boys. Walsall win the league with 16 wins. Which is still a good amount of wins. It's a shame that you can't see like historic discipline tables in FM, and I wish the stat tracking was slightly better for that. Well, for this one weird example, I guess. But also, shout out to Oldham Athletic. Bravo, my friends. 7th in the Premier League with 2 wins, but the cleanest shorts that you'll ever see. Oh my god. I was so hoping something like that would happen. So Barrow have won the Premier League. They won no matches. Drew twice and lost 36, but just didn't give a damn, apparently. Worth noting Gateshead in there as well. That's unbelievable. Right behind them were Brighton with 24 wins as well. Brighton should have been on, what, nearly 80 points, and Barrow should have been on 2. That means Barrow played in the Champions League in this save. That's a thing that's happened. I can't imagine it went well, but I can't wait to have a look. We will dive a bit deeper on this sim just because there's way more chaos. So there go Liverpool and Tottenham in season 3. Liverpool pretty much putting down like title-winning form that season too, but just too aggressive. That's where we lost Manchester United the very first season. It wasn't a superb year from them in general, but certainly not on the discipline front, clearly, as Bournemouth, actually, I did not expect it to go this way. See, look down here, for example, FC United, firstly in the Championship, which is dope, but they only won 5 games, they were very, very bad, and they got relegated because they were clearly having to just foul everybody. But Barrow seemed to have found a cheat code. Walsall, meanwhile, they were laying the seeds even back here in the Championship days with just the 5 wins, but they knew what to do. They understood the assignment. Liverpool also relegated from the Championship. I wonder if we're going to find some mad sides way further down the league. And there was Barrow, doing it again. 6 wins that year. Have they even won double-digit wins in the last 5 years? Man United won 43 games in League One, still relegated. 91 goal difference, gone. They got 131 points, technically. It's fine. Current League 2 can't hurt you. It just has Manchester United and West Ham in it. But move aside for Huddersfield Town. We're not even coming close to seeing any seasons like that one Barrow had. I don't know how that happened. There's Liverpool. They are gone again from the National League. Merthyr Town with 3 wins that season. Very solid. Well, hey, we found another one. It's Macclesfield getting promoted from National League North with 0 wins, which is still... That's actually, if anything, more surprising, just that they went a season without winning in the National League North. When you look at the teams they're up against, there's really no massive sides. Now, okay, Bradford City and Wrexham are probably quite good at this point, but still. Bad times, though, for Watford and Portsmouth, who are both relegated from National League South. They're relegated to the 7th tier. Right, I think something that I definitely do want to have a quick gander at, though, on this particular simulation is European competition specifically, because there will have been some absolutely mad entrants into the Champions League and various other ones. So I'll have a look at, say, the group stages and the winners, for example. Something tells me that they're not going to have gone super far in the Champions League. Yeah, Man City got 1 runner-up spot there. Fair play to Villarreal and Lazio getting to finals as well, but I want to see the group stages. That's what I'm more interested in. We got Bournemouth here, did get to the next round. So did Walsall. Big up them. Anybody else? England's coefficient has suffered. Tranmere down there too. West Brom getting to the top 8 is very nice. Leeds in there as well, and that's it. Oh no, there isn't. Never mind. Walsall as well. I'm more interested. Basically, I'm only looking at this so I can see what Barrow did their 1 season in Europe. There's Barrow. Yeah, it didn't go superbly. They did get a draw. Oh god, right. Who did they get a draw against? I reckon it's got to be someone bad. It has to be someone like Astana, right? Surely. The draw was against Besiktas. I know Besiktas haven't come much better, but come on. Besiktas are, generally speaking, not a bad side. So to get a draw with Barrow, away from home no less too, a 1-1 draw between Barrow and Besiktas. That's all I needed in my life today. My shoulder stopped hurting now just because of that. Notts County did a bit of Champions League in there too. Norwich obviously did quite well. Brighton and Bournemouth killing it. What about the Europa League? Oh my goodness. Right, okay, well there you go. Obviously City and Chelsea doing stuff in there. Brentford pick one up. Southampton, Wolves, West Brom, Bournemouth, West Brom. West Brom have been the massive surprise package of this save for me. Cheeky bit of Wigan in there too. Didn't see that. Conference League's been a little bit all over the place too. Chelsea have picked up a couple, I think. Bournemouth did 2 Conference League wins as well. Bournemouth have been surprisingly good too. Still 5th. Despite having Barrow in Europe for a season, England are still 5th in the coefficients, and in fact have actually moved back up to 3rd, provisionally, for next season as well. That's mad. So I guess if I really want to finish my Building a Nation Stay with MCK, which you can see live over on Twitch, I'm actually streaming right now, I guess I just need to make Barrow play in the Champions. How hard could it be? Right, one last little thing. That is those European ones, where only what matters to the teams is how they perform in Europe, which I don't think it's going to change a lot, but I thought it was worth doing just because you never know, right? Oh, boo. Boo. It just kind of looks like you'd sort of expect it to. Although Arsenal clearly have done well in Europe, enough to win the league. To the surprise of nobody, Manchester City won it for ages, so presumably won some Champions Leagues in there too. But Arsenal clearly have done something in Europe over the last couple of years in order to have got these results. So I'm looking to see some European trophies, Arsenal. Don't let me down. There we go. Arsenal have won 2 Champions Leagues in this. City started off quite well. A 2nd spot there. In fact, look at that 3-year spell of Arsenal winning it or being in the final in 3 straight years has massively bumped up their personal coefficient, and thus they have won some titles with it. Any surprises for the Europa League? I'm surprised. I think Tottenham probably would have finished quite high up the league as well with a couple of Europa League wins. That's a lot of coefficient points you get for winning Europa Leagues. And weirdly, English sides have kind of struggled a little bit in the Conference League, which is unusual. So this is the current setup. Now, as things stand, actually, Leicester would move up next season because of these 27-point years. You can see that obviously beyond that, teams are just allocated by default the points that their current country has, I believe, or something like that. The only way a team could really benefit from this would be if they won won a cup accidentally, or not accidentally, but on purpose, and then got into Europe, gained a few extra points, and that would then allow them to maybe continue getting into Europe. But it really is just luck of the draw, it would seem. But regardless, I've enjoyed recording this video just because I like seeing fun stuff happen, and some of the stuff in the yellow cards one, that was absolutely mad. So if you have enjoyed this video, drop a like, that'd be ace. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, that'd be gorgeous too. I stream on Twitch, obviously, right now. I'll see you soon. Hold your gun, capybara, bye-bye.